Life is a huge confusing mess as a child. First, you're made against your will, those babies aren't going to make themselves. Then you're thrown into a world where everyone is seemingly hundreds of levels above you because they took all those triple XP weekends back in college. Those babies aren't going to make themselves. And through it all, you've got to figure out how to move and understand how the world works and write a paragraph and do a 401k. Again, those babies aren't going to make themselves. It's tough to be a kid. So much potential, so many chances to screw it up before puberty. Now, I had a really good childhood growing up. I don't think I have much to complain about, if anything, except that one time my brother threw me off the playset and broke my arm. You're trying to grasp new concepts about the world while being confused the whole time, but still moving forward with stars in your eyes. And that's where the problem lies. See, as a kid, you don't have experience or context for a lot of the things that you go through. Plus, you're innocent still. The world hasn't gotten its grubby, perverted little brainwashing hands on you yet, assuming you weren't given access to YouTube Kids until you were a legal adult. So what happens when the TF2 Pyro world that you see as a kid meets the hard-hitting real adult world that was made specifically not for you? Well, you get traumatized. Now, of course, this is an exaggeration. I've never genuinely been traumatized as a kid, but saying it gets the clicks and views because you sick TikTok monsters eat up trauma like it's spaghetti night at your friend's house and mama made way too much. So I've compiled a list of things that gave little baby me the spooks, the heebie-jeebies, the fight or flight, the trauma, the sleepless nights, the oh no, I wet the bed and now dad's gonna take away my DS. And I want to make it clear that some of these things I'm about to mention are really stupid. It's weird the kind of simple things that'll unnerve you as a kid. Like when you have a nightmare and it terrifies you until you wake up and then you think about it and you realize the only thing that was there was a wrinkled tablecloth and it's not scary at all. Kind of embarrassing, actually. I'm going to list these things from stupidest to actually traumatizing. So let's quit talking and just boo it. Oh! Do you remember as a kid, you'd have a sleepover in the basement so you could eat snacks and watch the Kronk's New Groove movie with your friends? Or siblings if you didn't have any friends. Well, back in my day, we didn't have no fancy schmancy smart TVs and streaming services. But what we did have was a big old box and a DVD player. And once that DVD ended, it booted back to the main menu where whatever quirky and wacky, goofy character commentary they put in the main menu would play for the rest of time until you finally got frustrated enough and turned it off. Often hours of suffering later. And Star Wars was no exception to this. The first thing on this list is the music from the menu from Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And I told you, these are stupid. For anyone who knows me, they know that I love Star Wars. A lot. And I grew up with the prequels, and I'm therefore a prequel lover. Now, I still love the original trilogy, and despite their flaws, I did enjoy the sequel trilogy when they came out. But I'm not going to go into my feelings about that here. That's different video, different... Don't even worry about it. Now, the DVDs we had for Star Wars back in the day were actually really cool because each of them had this feature where the main menu would actually be different each time you put it in. Sometimes you would see Coruscant, sometimes you would see Tatooine, sometimes you would see Naboo. And Naboo is the one that would scare me the most, okay? You've got this very peaceful view of the Naboo Palace, you know? It's just the main menu, you got a ship that flies in, it's a whole, like, intro sequence. And then this really eerie music starts playing. And that's what freaked me out the most. It's kind of crazy. Why they put this music here? I have no idea. I listen to the Star Wars soundtracks extensively, all the movies, and there are so many better options of music they could have put here. Even if we're just limiting this to The Phantom Menace, I could probably pick out 2 or 3 songs, or at least segments, that would have worked better for this main menu than this song. Just imagine waking up in the middle of the night to this. Heebies Jeebied. DreamWorks is a banger studio. So many classics. We're talking Shrek, Road to El Dorado, Prince of Egypt, Spirit, Sinbad, Megamind, How to Train Your Dragon, and many more. I love a lot of their movies, but there was one in particular that we watched growing up many times as kids, and that movie was Madagascar. This movie came out in 2005. I was in kindergarten. It has been a long time, and I am old. You know, something that I've missed recently with the rise of streaming services and all that stuff is that movies don't seem to have games on them anymore. Even kid movies don't have games on them now. And a lot of them also don't even have special features. Like, there's no behind the scenes or anything. It's kind of It's kind of sad, really. I used to watch this stuff all the time. I loved seeing how movies were made and all the behind the scenes, and I don't know, it was cool to me. It was stuff I liked to watch, and now you don't even have it anymore. Dude, I remember the freaking Steve Irwin Crocodile Hunter movie had games on it. Well, this was 2005, and Madagascar did have games on it. Multiple ones, actually. One of them being Marty's birthday gift. And while it's not really a game so much as it is just like concentration, but even then it's not even that. You're not matching anything. You're just picking a spot and hoping that it's correct. Now, obviously this game is for kids and isn't really spooky in the slightest, but what would always get me was when Alex opens his mouth right at the beginning. Something about me and mouths opening towards me, it's freaks me out even to this day. Not to mention this music is pretty off-putting and still is a little unnerving. I can see why it freaked me out. Man, people gotta get better at picking music for kids. Jeez. Have you seen this absolutely disgusting, vile, godless, nasty, gross, hideous nightmare fuel called Mr. Meaty on Nickelodeon? This revolting, horrific, loathsome, yucky, repulsive, horrible, icky, creepy, abominable, ugly, terrifying, appalling, repulsive, sickening piece of shit. I like comic books. It's no secret that I am a gamer, and it's no secret that I am a gamer and a nerd, so liking comics is very much within my wheelhouse. I grew up on Calvin and Hobbes and made my way into Star Wars and Marvel and more. A lot of these like weird indie ones, like one-offs, or I don't know. If I like the art style, I pick it up and I take it home. What can I say? I'm shallow like that. As a kid, and even today, the first place I'll go to in a bookstore is the comic book section. I mean, where else are you gonna go? The video game section? Oh no, they have it. It's actually kind of wild what you can find in a bookstore. Everything from political propaganda to straight up porn. Yeah, actually, I'm pretty sure some of that's in the same section. So some of that's the same. Well, there was a little series that Marvel put out called Marvel Zombies, which was very intriguing to me. The idea of our lovable superheroes dealing with a zombie apocalypse is such a cool idea. Needless to say, pulled the book from the shelf, only to be greeted by these images. Absolutely scarring. Shoved that book right back onto the shelf. Never looked back. Until like about a year ago, I watched like a YouTube video going over it. It's actually kind of an intriguing story, now that I'm not scared of the images. Moving on. As you can tell, this list is mostly composed of movie-related content. And while there are many scenes in other movies that I wanted to include in this list, like Gollum biting off Frodo's finger in Lord of the Rings, Venom in Spider-Man 3, and pretty much any major Indiana Jones death scene, there's one scene from one movie in particular that really stuck with me as a kid. And even to this day, it gives me the chills, as well as many other people, as evidenced by, the YouTube comments that I'm seeing under the clip of this movie. It's the elevator scene from the 2006 movie Poseidon. And I'm going to link the scene in the description so you can watch it if you want to, but I'm not going to show much of it since it's pretty brutal and hard to watch even today as an adult. I'll summarize the scene for those who don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, a cruise ship gets hit by a 90-foot wave and capsizes. Cue the gratuitous death and destruction. The main characters now have to get to the bottom of the ship, which is now the top, in order to get out and escape. Eventually, they get to this elevator shaft that they need to cross, and the bottom is full of spiky debris. Well, they get almost everyone across, until suddenly the ship shakes, and the makeshift bridge falls into the pit, causing the last guy and one of the staff members to be hanging onto the ledge. The elevator above starts to come loose. The situation becomes desperate, and he can't pull them up. So he looks into the eyes of the man and says, "Shake him off." You watch as the young man holding on loses his mind, panicking, and he gets knocked off, falls into the bottom where he is impaled and crushed by the elevator. And the other guy got pulled to safety. I'm not even going to try to make a joke out of this, because this is the most unnerving and realistic moment in a movie like this. This is how people would genuinely react if faced with this situation. It traumatized me then, watching it, and it re-traumatized me now, watching it to make this video. But anything for the content, right? Content. The content. The content.
Anything
the content.
for the content.
The content.
Anything for
The content. The
Anything.
content.
No.
The content.
No,
Content.
please.
The content.
Anything.
The content. The content.
No.
The content.
No.
The content. The content. The content. Thank you everybody so much for watching. I appreciate it. It means a lot. Hopefully this video was a lot shorter than the other ones. I'm trying to put these out a bit more frequently, but as you know, sometimes it's hard. But you know what? Heck yeah, we're chugging along, we're making it work, and things are going great. So go down to the comments and tell me about things that traumatized you as a kid. I'm sure some of these things might resonate with some of you. There's a lot of things that I know traumatized other people that I had no experience with, or at least didn't traumatize me. I know people will say like, oh, like the end credits for like a lot of kids shows like SpongeBob and like I think Chowder would traumatize them because of the music. That stuff never got to me personally. I watched SpongeBob a bit, not all the time, but when it was on TV, like I would watch it. But the ending never traumatized me. I never got scared by that. So that's a thing. But yeah, tell me what traumatized you as a kid, and we'll discuss. It's really cool. It's really interesting. It's fascinating, the things that can traumatize people. So keep doing stuff, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.